Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to tell you guys how I taught my 4.5-year-old to read. In 20 minutes a day, Charlie has learned to read. I used the book Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. If you're looking for a super foolproof method of teaching your kid to read and you don't have to figure out activities for them to do, you don't have to find worksheets, you don't have to figure it out yourself, this book has everything you need in it. There are a few catches, like for example, please read the instructions before starting to try to open this book up with your child. Familiarize yourself with the lessons and how to present them before you start. I made the mistake of trying to open this book before I read that part, and trust me, you really do need to read the instructions. This book uses Die-Star, which is just a direct instruction method of teaching. It uses a different orthography, which is basically just a different way of writing the letters. Before starting to teach my child to read, I kind of forgot how messed up the English language is. So lots of words do not sound out well, if that makes sense. The great thing about this book is they present each sound basically instead of each letter. The vowels, for example, A has a sound, a short sound and a long sound, right? It has the sound A and the sound A. Well, in this book, it presents the A, one with a line over it, that's the long sound, and one without. So the child never has to guess which sound it is. It basically presents the two sounds separately. For example, a TH makes a the sound. In this book, they connect the T and the H together and it's kind of like its own sound. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, how are they going to be able to read normal books then? Like, we need them to be able to recognize the letters in normal books to be able to read. Well, the great thing about this book is as you progress with your child through the lessons, slowly, like the sounds and the orthography starts to transition back to normal orthography. So when you first start this book, your child probably won't be able to go and read a normal book. They'll probably get confused. But as you go and you get further into the book, then your child will be able to go and read normal books, I promise. I didn't even finish this book with my child, with Charlie, and he is already reading other normal books, mainly the Bob books, which I will talk to you about now. So these are the second thing I got for my child. They're called the Bob books, and there's different series. This is set number 1. But they're basically just super easy readers. They're mostly presenting sounds that are easy to sound out or like normal to sound out. The Bob books were really important like about halfway through this book, and he honestly would prefer to read those now over this book. I highly recommend getting both of these two books, and I will link them in the description for you guys. The reason I started even teaching Charlie to read was because of the pandemic. So he was 4.5-ish when the pandemic started, and we decided that he was not going to go to kindergarten. He was right on the cusp of being old enough anyway, so we were going to wait a year for kindergarten. We also knew that he wasn't going to go back to his preschool, so he was going to be home. Both my kids were home, yes, the entire year of 2020 and 2021, the entire school year basically, and I know a lot of you were in the same boat. So I basically started with this book then, and honestly at first he didn't want to do it, probably because I didn't know how to teach it really well either, because I hadn't read the instructions. But so I introduced it here and there, and he would either he didn't like it at first, so I take it away and I wouldn't show it to him again for like a week or a month or something, and I just kept kind of trying to slip it in there. So definitely read your child's cues if they're ready or not. Like if they're resisting when you're trying to introduce it, maybe they're not ready yet. Every child is different, so just read your child's cues on that. So eventually we got to the point where we were doing 20 minutes a day of this. Now, most of the time it wasn't even 20 minutes, but that's the time we had allotted for it. Each lesson We'll introduce sounds to the child. When they get further in, they're going to be reading words. And there's also writing involved too, which is really fun. There's rhyming. There's saying words quickly and slowly. All of it's part of, I don't know why it works because I'm not a teacher and I didn't develop this, but it definitely works, you guys. It works so well.
Apple. Sid.
Remember that word?
Said.
Yeah, you remembered it. Good job. So by the time I'd say like by the time he was 5, we're definitely doing it every day and on a schedule, and it was like school time. So we had 20 minutes of school time every day. I did want to mention that being consistent was really key with Charlie, because when we had a vacation and we didn't do it, or when we skipped a couple days here and there, it definitely, you could tell like he resisted. He didn't want to do it. And what we would end up doing is having to go back and review lessons he had already done to make him feel more confident with it before we moved on. So consistency is definitely one thing I would suggest, is trying to do it every single day if you can. Yeah, and as he got further and further into the book, we started to introduce the Bob books. Honestly, now he doesn't even work on this book anymore. I'd like to bring it back in and keep going with it. At some point I definitely will. But for now, he's choosing the Bob books, and we'll just read, basically we'll read 3 of these a day.
The pig is pink.
He looks white to me too.
So he'll be 6 in August. So we've been doing this for a year and year plus. We do 3 of these a day. They're super short, super easy, and they get a little bit harder introducing new sounds as they go along. What we've done with the Bob books is that he's gotten so familiar with like these first red ones that we've said, okay, we have to retire those. Like you can't choose those anymore. And so now we're working on the purple ones, and he's getting really good at these ones too. So I've said, okay, you can choose the purple ones, but you have to choose a green one too. And so we're working our way up. And at some point here, we're gonna probably need to get the second set of Bob books. And I also want to try and get some other books that he can transition his reading to, so he realizes he can read like other books besides just these books. We got these ones, Miss Rhonda's Readers. We haven't read these ones as much, but we've read them a little bit, and these ones are really good too. And I think we'll start reading these more once he gains more confidence.
That Robin
Pex
the cat.
Highly recommend this book. I'm so proud of my son and myself for actually doing this. Like, he's reading and it's amazing. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And if you like content like this, I just post anything about like anything that helps me as a mom, in the hopes that it will help you as well. So I hope you'll stick around and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
Hen.
Female chicken.
I say hen.
Hen. All right, what's the next page?
No, not like hen.
You say like...
Hen.
Okay, what's the next page?